Welcome to Mr. Truck. We're doing another truck review. This is 2019 LT Silverado Double Cab with a 2.7 turbo 4-cylinder. This is 310 horsepower, 348 pound-feet of torque. So there she is. Got the chrome that I like. This is a double cab, so it's a little smaller back seat, but the door opens the normal way. We're towing like 3,000 pounds on the trailer, 700 pounds in the bed of these, so we're grossing out 4,000 pounds. Come join us for our review. If you have a short bed truck, you know it's not easy to hook up to a gooseneck. Pop-Up came out with these extensions from 9 inches to 16 inches to keep you from breaking out your back window when you're pulling a gooseneck trailer. And everybody uses a short bed. That's the most proper truck there is a crew cab short bed. So protect that window. We're driving a 2019 Silverado half-ton, the 1500, and it is the famous one with that 2.7 turbocharged 4-cylinder that Chevrolet just came out with last year. And we're pulling this little 3,000 pound trailer, but I've got 700 pounds in the bed, and we're actually testing haul gauge. I guess you can see it there. It goes right, just plugs right onto your onboard diagnostics port. Nothing to it. And this little computer, you have an app on your phone, and it actually measures your trailer. It uses the torque converter for a vertical load, and that's how much force it's exerting on the truck, which is really cool. And we just weighed the truck, and it was it showed in on a scale that I used at 5,300. The haul gauge showed it 5,200. So I don't know which one's right, but that's very close. You're within 100 pounds on over 5,000 pounds. That's very good. And then I weighed the payload, which is the Honda ATV out there. It's a Pioneer, not a Pioneer. It is a Rancher 4-wheel drive. And it weighed at the scale 800 pounds. And as close as I can tell on the haul gauge, it weighed in about 750 pounds. That's very close. So you're not going to use haul gauge to weigh products for sale. You're going to use it to see how close you are. If you're within range of what your payload should be, your tongue weight should be, it measures all that. Your trailer, all those things. Now, it's really cool about GM. In the door, they put that sticker that tells you your payload, your tongue weight, and then you can calculate off that, the payload, what your max trailer capacity is. But it has rear axle weight, weight distributing weight. All that's a new sticker from Chevrolet in the door, which I really like. So I know what I can do just by looking at the truck door and not have to go look up on the computer. But anyway, so the haul gauge is another tool that will help you get really close to where you should be on those weights. That allows you to have a very good idea of what your trailer weight is, your payload weight, your tongue weight, your weight distributing weight, without going anywhere. And this haul gauge is a great tool. It's an inexpensive tool. Plug in your onboard diagnostics port, and then you just do a few quick little stops and starts, and that sets it up. And then each time you add something like a trailer or payload, you just reweigh it. Just push the reweigh button on your phone. It's really neat. And they keep improving it. I just did the upgrade on it, so you can always get the latest things that they would add to it, which is really cool. Now this truck, this has the 6.5-foot bed, which is real nice for hauling ATVs. It's a double cab, so it's not a crew cab. So the back door's a little smaller, made more for for the smaller youngsters and that kind of thing, but still bigger than what a midsize would be on a crew cab. Now the trailer towing capacity on this is only 6,700. So I mean there's some mid sizes that are bigger than that, and we know that the full size class is bigger than that. So where it really comes in is it's got like the best payload of these full size half tons at 1,892, which is more than my 150. It's only 1,677. So the bigger payload would help you put a bigger trailer on, except for you can only go to a certain size trailer on this truck. But this one is amazing. That little turbo spools up really quick. It's got a double flute on it. But it puts out 22 pounds of boost, which is pretty good. Now this model's pretty loaded. It's an LT. And I really like the mirrors on this rascal. It's got Pretty nice interior. It's got some chrome. This is the 6-seat configuration, which is my favorite. And, you know, the fan is a button I really like. Not a button. It is a dial, which I like. Buttons, I'm bouncing down the road. I hate trying to push a button. But it's got plenty of accessories here to plug into for your USB ports and your 12 volts and your 110. The brake controller's on the right side where it should be. It's got some new fancy gadgets, a way to find things in your steering wheel controls. It's got little rollers on it. And over on the left side, you've got this knob on top, which actually goes through different modes, and tow haul mode is now there instead of on a button on the stem. And then it's got your automatic headlights controls. It's got your cargo light, your hill descent, 2-wheel drive, 4-wheel drive, auto 4-wheel drive, which I use, which is pretty cool. And it's push button starts. You know I like that. But yeah, this puppy has a lot of torque at the bottom, man. That's what I like about this engine. It's and it's 300. It's a 3.42 axle, which is really common for a towing package on Chevrolet. But this engine is complicated. It's complicated to explain. I've had an engineer explain it on my video I did at the launch. But it's got like a hollow camshaft, and it slides. It has these little lifters on it, so it actually will lift the valves higher or lift them lower, and gives you fuel mileage or gives you more power. So it has a few unique processes to make this engine work. But yeah, I mean, it's MSRP on this rascal is $40,200, which is getting to be the common number. You know, that's full retail. You'll get rebates and all that, but that's the full retail price of this is $42,200. So we're gonna go flying down the road and see how this works. I've driven it several times now, but come join us for the review. I'm driving this LT 1500 Silverado, the 2.7, and I just want to announce that we're going to start doing Mr. Truck, Ask Mr. Truck, the Q&A that I've been doing on Facebook for quite a while. It's hard to get caught up. I get so many emails with truck questions. So what's new, what we're going to do is I'm going to answer the Q&A in video. I'll probably have to have some guests with me once in a while. We'll read off your question. I'll give you an answer. And, you know, we'll run a show, maybe 10 minutes of that. And then I'll post it, of course, on my Facebook channel, Mr. Truck TV. And then I'll post it on my Facebook. So you'll have 2 shots to see it. And I try to answer as many of your questions as I can. So if you do have truck questions, and try to be more specific as you can, because just telling me which truck's best for me doesn't tell me anything. You know, tell me what you tow, what kind of weight you tow. Do you need 4 drive? Give me as much detail as you can, then I'll try to be detailed with my answer. So hopefully that will help everybody out to make sure you get the right truck and do some of these right decisions. I know it's not an easy process anymore. It's getting better, though. They're making these trucks so bulletproof that it's hard to really hurt them. And if you get close on your towing capacity, they do fine. It's a lot different than the 70s when I used to wear out trucks fast and hard, where we didn't have all this new electronic technology to tell you when to change oil and tell you all those different things and crash avoidance and all that. Like now, it's kind of hard to have an accident in one of these. I should really try hard. But anyway, back then you had to know, which engine to get, which transmission. Do you need a bigger radiator? Do you need a towing package? There's a lot of questions, and you had to get the right axle ratio. Now there's very few axle ratios available. So, unless you're really going to extreme trailers, you can figure all that out. But email me at kent@mrtruck.net, Kent, K-E-N-T, @mrtruck.net or mrtruck.com. And we try to answer your questions on a YouTube video.
In all these videos, we show this bumper step. It's Kelsey's favorite thing and my favorite thing. You got a bigger pocket hole up here. This would be so easy for all of them to do it, but I love it. For 19, it's a bigger hole made for, I think, a size 13 boot, but that is awesome for trailers. So I got my trailer hitch there, my tailgate's down, so I can jump up there and use this with the trailer, where a lot of these tailgate things that they've come out with, you just can't use with a trailer. I think this mirror works. I mean, it's got a longer reach. It's not real tall, but that reach is what you want to see your trailer, see your axles of your trailer. Yeah, it's a pedestal on your door now, where it used to be up in the glass. It's new for the 19 model. Too cool. Here's my favorite thing, in the door. frame. You go up to here. You can see it's gray, but it shows your gross vehicle weight rating, shows your gross combined weight rating, your gross axle rear rating, your max payload, max tongue weight, curb weight, and all that is on that sticker in your driver's side door frame.
I was going to go over some of the options on this. The combined city and highway miles per gallon by the EPA is 20. In the city, it's rated at 19, on the highway 22. So it's not the best in its class, but it's not the worst. Kind of a midline on fuel economy. But this one happens to have the sprayed-in bed liner. It's got a locking rear end. That was almost $400. The trailer package, which is, the receiver hitch and all that, hitch guidance. I love the mirrors or the cameras back there. The brake controller. And this has aluminum wheels. It's a 7,000 GVR. And it is, I like their bed liner on this. Of course, Sirius radio, all that. Heavy duty rear vision camera. But tailgate lift assist, power lock and release. So I guess this is when you push the button and drop the tailgate. I've got tailgate down for this ATV to totally fit. I'm only a few inches from being able to get this one in totally in the bed and close the tailgate, but I'm not quite there. This has got dual climate control, which kind of surprised me because this is not a real high-end model. It is the LT. But the back seats fold up and down, of course. It's just a little smaller back seat. So for a lot of families, this will work well. My kids are growing up. My tailgate, my grandkids are small, but yeah, I would have to go for a crew cab for myself. But for a lot of people, this will save you some money. And it's nicer than what a super cab or some of those cabs where the doors go the other way. These, you can open them the normal way, which I like in parking lots. I mean, those little smaller doors, I know they'll go 360 degrees or whatever, they go 180. But I like a door that opens the right way. If I wanted a limousine with doors opening the rear way, I would get a limousine. Teen driver mode. I may have to figure that one out because that looks interesting. Teen driver mode. I don't know if that gives you an arm that slaps them around a little bit, or if that just has something that yells at them. I got to find that out. That would be interesting to see what the teen driver mode is.
An 8-inch screen. And this is the fan control. I love knobs. I hate pushing a button, bouncing down the road, trying to set the heat. Man, oh man. Got dual climate control, which is cool. All these toggle switches, and here's the brake controller on the right side where it should be. Of course, the engine stop start button. That just cracks me up. I love those. With the spring, the stack, the gauge cluster in the center stack. Look how big they are. Nice big gauge. I can read these. Oh, I love it. Here's a toggle switch I was talking about. Run that back and forth. For this one, your cruise control. And over here, all your other dials are done with that little knobby. Yeah. Cool. And over here, top one shows all your modes. Your tow haul mode and all that stuff. Should pull up here in the middle. This is cool. In the middle of the tachometer, it has a place for the tach to set when it's an auto stop, and then it goes all the way to the bottom when it's shut off. So when it goes auto stop, that is cool because it reminds me it has auto stop, where otherwise I think, oh my goodness, my engine died. But anyway, there's the knob for changing your programs. I guess you can see it. It's very small. You see where the little green flag is. It shows in two-wheel drive, shows in park. And then when I flip this knob, goes through the modes. So there's tow haul mode. Who knows what that is? I guess that's all this one does, is tow haul mode. And then your buttons below that knob is your four-wheel drive, your auto four-wheel drive, hill descent, your two-wheel drive, and there's that light in the bed, and then there's for your gauges, your headlight switch. Yep.
Trying out some acceleration on the on-ramp. This little puppy gets up and scoots. Of course, I'm only pulling 3,000 pounds, and I have 700 pounds in the bed, so I got 3,700 pounds plus my heavy-duty reporter butt. So, yeah, we're probably getting 4,000 pounds easily. But anyway, cruising right along. It's pretty quiet. I like the gauge layout on this. They're bigger. You know, a lot of these trucks have little tiny gauges, and I can't see them. I'm an old man. I'm 61. So I have to get real close to them. This one, I can see these gauges. I like this. Easy to get to the controls. I love it. The brake controls on the right side now. I love the steering wheel straight now. Great visibility. Now these cruise along on this highway. I can go 75, so I'm going to do that. Set it up to 75 and let her cruise. Push one button there and see what that does. But I should turn it on. Yeah, turn the on button. There we go. I'll figure this stuff out. And I'm going to set it and get her up to. Yeah, I've driven this truck quite a bit now, and I helped TFL, and we hauled almost right at the max. I can't remember how much over 6,000 we were. We went to 67. I think we were 6,500. Did really well going up the hike, you know, and that's 11,000 feet at the top. 7% grades going east. I think going west is even more, but it just doesn't have the 4 lanes that we know. Actually, the 6 lanes that we need. But anyway, I liked everything about this. Just a little bit of turbo lag. But, you know, it outruns all the other naturally aspirated V6s in its class. So, I'm a little disappointed. The fuel mileage, the very top end, is 22 miles to the gallon. And, you know, most all the EcoBoost in the Ford line are 23 and above. So, and, you know, it's probably a little better than some of the Ram V6s on fuel mileage. But, you know, this is in this configuration with the double cab. This is more of a, even though it's an LT, it's more of an entry level for, you know, one of your first trucks you would buy with your family. You can get seat belts for 6, which is my favorite configuration. This is the whole new body. It's got a bigger on the crew cab, another 3 inches or so in the back. It's got a 6.5-foot bed, a lot of extra room in the bed. Now they've squeezed the inside wall and the outside wall of the bed together. But I had no problem hooking up a trailer, good camera. What's interesting is I had the ATV in the truck bed, and I had hooked up to a trailer, so my tailgate was down. And I was backing up, and I could still use the tailgate camera. I had to get real close to it, but that was neat. A lot of times when your tailgate's down, that camera's useless. But I actually got that last 2 feet to the trailer by looking at the tailgate camera. But yes, indeedy. I'm only totaling 3,000 pounds. I was hoping to do a video with Kelsey this weekend, but it just didn't work out. Maybe the next truck we can get her involved. She's had another baby, so she's got 2 of those rascals now. So congratulations to Kelsey and Chris, her husband. But that's one of the most impressive things about this is such a high payload because the truck's lighter. You know, it has aluminum hood, aluminum doors, aluminum tailgate, and that little engine. So that helps crank up the payload clear up to 1892, which I think is best in class. All impressive numbers. This thing steers well. I mean, I'm not using the weight distributing because I'm only at 3,000, so I don't have to. But it goes straight. Rack and pinion steering, I love it. So I'm cruising. Got the cruise control on. I'm going to actually go a little faster. Let's see. Make sure I push the right roller here. Burn some fuel. Get up to 75. There we go. Reset the mile per gallon. We're just going to see what the computer thinks we're getting for fuel mileage. Pulling 3,000 pounds with a total weight of closer to 4,000 with the ATV and me. We have this new trailer and built-in function score. Top score is 100. Now, this is just not coming from today. I mean, I've driven this several times. Driven it in Scottsdale, Arizona. Driven it in the mountains with TFL. Driven it, you know, in this last week. So I'm thinking about all the time I've driven it with bigger trailers, with smaller trailers, like we did today, and handling and all that. So I'm going to look at this. For the first one, it's worth 20 points. Trailer control at max weight. And I've had this at max weight with TFL truck. And it actually did well. It did very well. I don't know exactly what it would do to do better. So I'm going to give it, it's really hard to give anything a 20, but on that trailer control one, It squatted more than I'd like. That's the only real problem I'd have with it, so I'm going to have to give it an 18 for trailer control. For truck handling, which includes squat. The squat part is another thing, which relates to trailer control. So that's the only thing about it. So I'm going to give it an 18 there. Reaching the controls, I thought was very good. Now that they've changed the brake controller, I think the buttons are very well spaced, where you can reach them without having to try too hard. Brake controller is perfect. The 4-drive switches are very easy to get to. Everything is very functional. I'm still trying to get used to the little roller thing in the steering wheel. But, shoot, I'm going to give it an 18 there. Now, the mirrors, I like them. I wish they were a little bigger. Of course, these aren't the towing mirrors, so, I mean, like we said, that's not really a way to judge a mirror, but I like them. I wish they was a little deeper, but I know they did this for the look. They're good-looking mirrors, so I'm going to give it a 17 on the mirror, even though I do like them. I mean, it's a different way to add a mirror by hooking it to the door and not the window, so that's new, but that's what going to be there. An acceleration with the trailer. Hard to fault it. I thought it was accelerating very well. Even with a big trailer, if you're on flat ground, it does very well. Of course, up a hill, it slows down a little bit. It's interesting concept using a 4-cylinder pulling trailers with even the turbo. But it does accelerate better than the V6s I've driven that don't have turbos. So, shoot. That's a tough one to score, the acceleration with a trailer. Because the size of the trailer that it tows, it does well. It wouldn't pull 10,000 pounds that well, but it does pull, say, 6,700 pounds that well. So, for what it is, for what it's rated at, what General Motors says to pull with it, it's hard to beat. I'm going to give it a 19. The higher the trailer weight, then, the more you expect of it. But for what they rate this at, which is kind of weird that this, there's a lot of mid-size and small trucks that out tow it. That seems odd, but that's where I'm going to put it at 19. So I'll add those up, put these on the screen, and you can tell me what you think of that. And it's showing 10.6, and it was fairly level. There's a little bit of ups and downs, but that's what I got, with basically our cargo trailer and everything's 4,000 pounds. That's pretty typical of gas engine, and this one wasn't straining. But anyway, that's the gas world. You're not going to get great fuel mileage with a trailer, but it's 10.6. And that's off the truck's computer. Of course, we'll do a comparison on your own from tank to tank, and that tells you a little more accurate. But these rascals used to be, a long time ago, they were 10% off the truck's computer for fuel mileage in real life. But now they're getting very, very close. A lot of times they're right on.